Carl and Lou here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for sure. And it's Freddy's Nightmares, an episodic recap. Season 2, Episode 2, Heartbreak Hotel. Directed by William Malone and written by Jonathan Glassner. Spoilers. I think one of these segments is one of the best we've ever seen. Yeah. Even though it doesn't work in the slightest as a Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, even a Freddy's Nightmare segment, it was so different, it became so fresh. Yeah. Like, it was just a lot of fun to watch. 2 different segments as well, with the second segment, while not quite as good and certainly not funny, is also pretty well done too for what it is. It's almost both have, I think, the strongest endings we've seen in a while, where you're actually seeing a logically told short story done in short fashion, wrapped up satisfying. Because Freddy's Nightmares segments have a horrible habit of just ending abruptly because you're running out of time. So you can't fully tell a story, and it's like, this is how it ends. Boom, boom, boom. This one, both of these do a damn good job of, explaining it. I will say though, like, if you want horror, this isn't got, particularly the first segment is, it's not very horror based at all, and certainly it's offbeat even for Freddy's Nightmares. Of course, our cast, we'll run them through. We got Robert Englund, of course, as Freddy Krueger, Richard Cox as Jerry, Stacey Keach Sr. as George Teller, Anne Lockhart as Rachel Kelly, Gloria Loring as Ellen Kramer, and John Stinston as Roger D'Artano. Okay, the first is more comedic. Now, I say that right, but I do think it's worth pointing out comedy is subjective. And while I think it was quite funny, but I think a lot of that came from the character, the main character more than anything else, who is a schlocky reporter working for a newspaper that makes up stories, basically. You know what these are. I don't know. It's no famous. A National Enquirer? Is that what it is?
I think,
something like that.
Version.
Yeah, something like that. Basically, Bigfoot stole my wife on the front page. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah. That's what they do, which is fun in its own right, of course. And the fact that it's taken so seriously as well by certain characters, in the sense that you must go on location to write this fake story. You just sit in an office and make up whatever the hell you want. I think that adds to it as well. But yeah, we've got a reporter, and he dreams of working for a major and reputable newspaper one day, dreaming of, the Washington Post, dreaming of working for the Washington Post, applying and stuff like that. It's a great scene between his boss where she does the really evil thing of pretending to open a letter and reading it out like it's been rejected. Yeah, he's been rejected. But we see that she didn't even open the letter.
She just rustles it like she opened it,
But she points out he has issues with grammar. He has issues with grammar, which is such a throwaway line, and comes back in a generally almost stand up and applaud.
Like, well done.
Well done for doing that. So his boss, like, look, you need some new stories. I've heard one that basically Elvis is alive and staying in a small hotel in Springwood. So go there and
find Elvis.
This reporter, his entire stick is sarcasm. He is sarcastic all the way, obsessed with these gobstoppers, is it? Jawbreakers.
Yeah,
Jawbreakers, those gobstoppers as well. But he is really, really funny. Like, he is a very good character and a good comedian as well. How he reacts to things, and how he acts is really, really strong. He goes to the hotel and he starts talking to the teller behind it, the hotel clerk. And that person is both uninterested, but also talking about these stories if they're true. And it's because it's not just Elvis staying at the hotel, staying there with John Lennon.
Yeah.
Hilariously, the episode will put John Lennon and someone looking like John Lennon in the background as well at some point, walking up the stairs. It's a very, very silly episode. But how do we link this into Freddy? Well, we don't really, except that he finds his fake stories start to become true. Certain things start to happen that reflect truth. There's a big businessman comes in who I don't know if he's the owner of the Washington Post or one of the owners of a bigger newspaper, played by Stacey Keach Sr.
I think it's a different one. I think it's a different paper.
Yeah. But, like, he tries to basically get a job with him. He's rejected and stuff like that. So he tries, seeing how his fake stories are becoming true, he tries to use this to his advantage. Now, it isn't as hijinks as that sounds. So that makes it sound like there's probably some wacky stuff. To be honest, it's quite unmemorable stuff. It's pretty, like, if you said to me, well, what other stories come true? I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to, what was it? What kind of...
See what I mean? Like, that's the problem. I picture the character, I picture his interactions more than anything else. I picture him speaking constantly with his jaw out here because he's got this freaking big-ass gobstopper jammed in the side of his mouth. But it is funny. That's the thing. All of this makes it funny. The interaction is good. Everyone is game here.
Yeah.
And it's got such a strong ending that brings it back to the grammar.
Yeah.
Which, when it's said out in a really natural way as well, you're just, like, we both went, oh,
really
how clever is that? Yeah. Really, really strong. It doesn't feel like a Freddy's Nightmares story, though. No. It actually feels like more, and I thought about this, more like a Twilight Zone episode. Maybe even leaning towards Tales from the Crypt. That might sound weird because you're like, well, Freddy's Nightmares is basically the same thing. But there was always a vibe to Freddy's Nightmares being from the dream perspective. Almost every episode would have a hue to dreams and stuff like this. But this one doesn't play like that. It doesn't play like that at all. It does feel like a story written for a different anthology series. But used here, I think.
Definitely.
Which also applies to the second segment. It is different. It is different, but it is good. Now, what's the link here? Do you remember what the link to 2 episodes are?
That was Nurse.
It's the nurse. Yeah. That's it. That's it. A nurse in a hospital at the end in the final scene.
Wooden actress as well.
Yeah, leaning in towards this one here. Because a man wakes up in a hospital with no memory of who he is or his life prior to what seems to have been a car accident, as he has a flash of that. Yeah. He can't even remember his wife or his daughter. There we go. So the episode is about them, basically, as they're trying to help him remember them, and he starts to get flashes that suggest he might have done something or been involved in something. Certainly the murder or an accidental death of someone.
Yeah.
But as this episode goes on, what it does do really, really well is build up that intrigue. Because we will start to get suspicious of the mother and daughter. But the links, what it does well is it basically tells you there's something going on here. Yeah. And he definitely was involved in something, and that's where his amnesia is coming from. But how we get to the end point is never fully explained. And even when they show us what happens, I said that's a big plot hole there. Yeah. And in the next scene, they fix that plot hole. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. It was literally like, oh, well, that shut me up, didn't it? Really, really well done on that. It's got a darker vibe to it than the first one, which is nice because you've got this contrast between comedy and more straightforward darkness. But again, this also ends in a really satisfying way. We just kind of like, that's how it ends. You don't even need to know what the end result is for a certain character. Yeah. You just kind of know where it's going. It is one that could have done with a bit more time.
Yeah.
Of course it needed a bit more time because that story could have really been given some meat, in particular as his memory starts to come back. But also from the wife thing, because there's some good scenes. There's one where she's in the bath and he comes in and she's uncomfortable around him. And like, you're like, okay, it doesn't necessarily, because naturally you're like, well, that ain't his wife. But you're like, well, why would they be doing this then? But also, like, well, maybe he's not a good guy. Maybe he beat her. Maybe it's something like that, and that's why. Just I mean, like elements like that, and so on. Because there's a daughter as well. You're like, well, it can't be a money scam thing because why would you involve the daughter? Yeah, like you wouldn't involve another girl. You'd just keep the mother there and so on. It's well told though, and it does its revelations really, really good. It just needed more substance and. I don't know, an overall more satisfying ending.
Definitely. But
still a very, very strong episode. We're kind of like, shit.
I remember like all of that one.
Yeah, 2 episodes in, it's like, season 2 is off to a flyer. When you got 22 episodes, there's inevitably going to be some lulls, but it's really satisfying to start off so strong. This one overall, Heartbreak Hotel, well, I don't think, if someone said to me, show me what Freddy's Nightmares is, I wouldn't choose this. I'd choose one of the Freddy-centric episodes. But if they were like, show me some of the best stuff from it, I think I'd choose episode 2 of season 2. Yeah, I think I would. Heartbreak Hotel. It is it's very good overall, both segments, which is what we want, really. Yeah. What do you think, though? Do you agree with us? Heartbreak Hotel, episode 2 of season 2. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.